This evening, we're going to explore spirit. We're very familiar with your body and your ego and all of your concerns. We all have it. We're so caught up in what's this and what's that. The ego is always asking who, what, when, where, how, and when. And probably some other questions if it comes up with them. But this evening, we're going to try to move a little bit above that. So I'm going to ask you as much as possible to your thoughts. If you're aware, then witness, analyze it that way. For those of you that are on Zoom and in the company here that have not said much, I'm Shiva. I'm a Buddhist. My background is in Christianity. But really not one of them. Maybe Buddhist because it's non-theistic. But I'm not about religion or spirit. As I said, the first thing that we have to work through is your ego. That always analyzes when, where, how. How does this fit? How does that fit into a category? How am I going crazy? These are things we want to explore. Nature is not constrained. Your soul is not constrained. The essence of you is one with the entire universe. You're not separate from it. Really never. Your ego has gotten in the way of it. Your ego is always trying to figure out what's going on. It's its job. You really kind of need an ego in order to pass a driver's test or, sign a contract, order something at the restaurant. Egos are a good thing. Let you know your position and where you are in life. But when it comes to spiritual self-discovery, we have to kind of park it at the door. Because there's a greater part of you that is not constrained by the ego. There's a greater part of you that is eternal. The ego and your physical body are here just for a little while, just a few decades. But that part of you that's spirit has always been and will always be. It's just having these little moments of physicality forgets everything. If you could remember who you are, you would be enlightened. From my point of view, that's what enlightenment is. Remember who you are. You have this romanticized idea about enlightenment that once you're enlightened, then you know everything all the time, everywhere. And that's not what I found to be true. What I have found is that there are moments of transcendence. There are moments when you can transcend your fear, ego, your aggression, all of these things. You can just transcend it all. And that's what this evening is about. Transcendence. Transcending above the ego into your true nature, which is unconstrained, which is eternal, which does not know birth or death. These are just experiences it has, like programs on the television screen. One ends, another begins, commercial in between. So to begin this evening, I'd like to meditate to a song that is one of my favorite. It's called Brush Fire. This is from the Enlightenment album of Zazen. And I find it to be a very heart-centered song. And as we listen to this song, I want you to just listen to the music and see if you can open your heart and really move past everything. Move past your ego, move past all the hurts and everything you've ever had in your life. Just move past them and move into that vast space that is your heart. So let's explore the heart just for a little bit. So most of humanity lives their life from the heart down, in the physicality of life. We're more concerned with fame and with fortune than their eternal. You, if we had us in here this evening, I don't know, Magic we had Johnson in this room, the room would be filled. And that's where the world is. So you are extraordinary. You're not. You're in the world, wise and very smart. To awaken to that part of your nature that transcends this world and transcends all worlds is a gift of great treasure. People are so concerned with their lives of having this, if I get this, this will make me happy. If I have that, people will love me. If I gather this much up, then I'll be safe. I'll live in a place that's safe. We're surrounded by fear and by aggression. We're in this cosmic soup, which we are actually affected at the physical level by everything and everyone around us. Not just physically, but emotionally and occultly and or spiritually. Everyone and everything affects you. And it's easy to pick up on the world. To become fearful or feel like you need to protect yourself. Stay in your heart. You've gotten out of your heart. Back into it. Let's just take a moment and focus on your heart. Just close your eyes. Put your hand over your heart. And your heart is many, many things. It's the center of your universe. 3 chakras above, 3 chakras below. It is your psychic center. You pick up on all the feelings and emotions of everyone around you, pretty much all the time. Especially people that are in your heart. As you go into your heart, I would like for you to imagine a curtain being drawn aside. And that curtain that's being drawn aside in your heart is the curtain of all of the fear and all of the hurt that you've encountered in this life. Every time you've opened your heart, and the psychic energy would come in and just slam you so hard that you don't want to open your heart anymore because it brings up these painful, painful memories. But I'm suggesting you do something really brave here with me. And that is to pull the curtain aside, pull all of those hurts and fears and memories aside, and walk into the vast room. Huge. There you go. It's safe there, actually. The curtains that have held out all the pain and everything are behind you. That pain can't come in here. When you enter into that vast room, you're discovering your true self. And you'll find that when you're really in the room, you don't have very many thoughts. If you have any at all. Just a sense of breath's awe and the vastness of your being. Breath, and pull it back. And let's let this be our starting point. I would like for you right now to think of something that's really bringing. It can be relationships, jobs, finances, politics, anything. Just think about that. Put it in your mind. Indulge. And now, I would like you to take that feeling and ask you to move that feeling, concern, or whatever it is, past the curtains into the heart. And once it gets in the heart, it dissolves. Just let it dissolve. It's room. There's nothing nastiness to cling to. Since it can't cling to anything, it can't manifest. And as you let go of fear, let go of your anger, what can bother you, your pain from the past, your childhood, whatever it is, let it dissolve. Let it go. And we're dissolved. Smile a little bit. And in the place, in consciousness where that pain was, just imagine, does not have to be or a condition. Intent, the intention that this discord before. Anybody like to share what it felt like? So, what's your name? Okay, good talk. Feel like. as the yeah, that was good. Feels pretty good, huh? When you do that, it's called liberation, right? I'm going to tell you my abbreviated story of creation. In the beginning, there was a void. The void contained nothing, no thing. And a strange thing happened. Somewhere in the void, there was a movement of nothing. That movement continued. It actually, in a sense, bumped into itself. And when it bumped into itself, it was light. And a sense of darkness. And bumping into itself, it created duality, light and darkness. And as that duality continued, we end up with a manifest universe of the void coming in being, bumping into itself and creating creation. So all of this that you know and all of this that you experience is nothing but itself creating an illusion of creation. So when we did the thing earlier, the reality that was within, taking it back to its source of oneness, dissolving it into the void. And as it was dissolved into the void, you intended unconditional love. Unconditional love is the void. Unconditional love has no conditions. Unconditional love really has no things. It is the essence of your being. It is the essence of who you are. And if you go deep enough into your being, you will see that everything in your life is driven by that essence, and how you've taken that essence and had it convoluted and twisted and turned so that you have all of these realities going on inside of yourself. Your own reality and the reality picking it from everyone and everything around you. It's an incredible experience to see. And this is what's called awakening. You're waking up from the dream of this convoluted nothingness that's creating these realities into the true nature of your being, which is one with everything. Let yourself dissolve. Feels good. in this presence that you feel in this room, to the degree that you can open yourself to it, there's a dissolution going on. In Hinduism, we talk about Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Brahma is the unmanifest. It is the void, bumping into itself. Vishnu is the result of that void, bumping into itself, creating realities. And Shiva is the energy that takes that reality that was created out of that dream and pulls it back into the void. It happens very quickly, actually. It happens at the speed of light. So realities are created and dissolved instantaneously. We sometimes think of Vishnu as being this wonderful being, of prosperity and beauty and everything, and it is. But Vishnu also is all of the ugliness too, all of the anger. It is the creation. Now I'm going to let you know this. You are creating this. Your reality is your reality. It's nobody else's. Nobody agrees with you fully. And at first, that seems kind of frightening. But in reality, it's absolutely freeing. When you realize that you have the ability to change your reality by refocusing what you focus on. You change it for yourself, not for anybody else. But when you change it for yourself, because you are touching everyone around you, people you love and people you hate, as you let go of that, then your reality changes and their reality has to change with it because you're connected. So what I'm suggesting is that when you go to the store and you're smiling, you grin, you're happy to see everybody, friendly, it affects everyone you meet. Or reserved and angry and pitiful, that affects everyone you meet. How do you want to be? You want to walk through life, open up to other people. You don't have to talk about controversial things. I never did. Like politics and religion, boy, that just divides us. We can talk about family, friends. Whatsoever things are honest. These things. Change your reality. What you focus on, experience. These are not, a long There is the hidden teachings. What I'm sharing with you this evening is the hidden teaching. It's obvious, actually, when you see it. But if you listen to what I'm saying, and you start forgiving people that have you so terribly, that have betrayed you, tried to destroy you even. Forgive them, honestly, because they were ignorant and better, or they were just flat ass a jerk. Better. Doesn't do good to hold that in your heart. All it does is cover your realities when you walk down the street. You see somebody that looks like him, there's up that feeling, you know? No, it's not worth it to hang on to resentment. You have to let go of being a victim to yourself and a victim of others. You're better than that. If you really see yourself and look deep into your heart, you would see the loveliness that's there. You would also see the strength. You're there. When we pull negative energies and these negative energies and these, we're the way we are because we're a victim to society or whatever. We're just manifesting that in the world, projecting that out to everybody we see. So just forgive yourself, forgive them, start looking for the sunny side of the street. Start walking there. Quit buying into soap opera drama, the car wrecks that are going on in society. Fear is a terrible thing. Our television knows that fear sells. So no matter how good the report, they're going to make something fearful out of it because that's what sells. I could fill the room if I sold you fear. If I laid out that if you didn't follow my teaching, you'd burn in hell forever. What? The sun is shining every day. Is it shining for you? Or keeping the clouds of distrust, anger, and pain, and seeing the beauty of life? Your intention is molded by your inner self. Your inner self has been molded by life experiences. It's time to let go of the negativity. It's time to let go of those things that constrict you. Realizing that this life is very short. Believe me, it goes by really fast. But you are eternal. You will drop this body and drop this ego, and you will continue on your journey into enlightenment forever. Enlightenment isn't the end product. It's a journey. The more you're enlightened, the more you can see there is to be enlightened about. Raise your vibration. Be a healer. Quit opening the wounds. As I'm talking to you, this is like a guided meditation. I'm talking to your higher self. It's not easy being a human. No, I am one. But I'm here to show you a higher path. Hopefully, you'll see it. And know that this physicality is just a dream. A very captivating dream that can capture your consciousness for decades. And then you wake up one day and you say, everything I've been chasing, everything I've been trying to do is ashes in my hands. The truth of your nature is that you are eternal, that you are powerful, that you are creative, and that you are in charge of your reality. There are 10,000 states of mind. Where is your mind in that 10,000 states? Is it in the lower one? Or is it in the higher one? Where are you dwelling? What are you feeding, growing in your life? Are you feeding resentment? Are you feeding the fear? Or are you feeding love and joy, happiness, and freedom? I know of a man who has probably $30-40 million. And he lives in a little shack outside of his mansion. He goes into the mansion every once in a while and takes a shower. He goes up to his little shack, sleeps on the floor surrounded by books and some candles. He lives a life of abject poverty. And he has millions of dollars. You can be unhappy rich, and you can be unhappy famous, you can be unhappy poor, and you can be unhappy emptiness. It's just what are you doing? What is your attitude? It's you. It's not others. Don't blame them. They were just fooled. You're now awakening to yourself. Walk into your heart for just a moment. If that moment has changed you, you can live a happy and wonderful life, not dependent upon others or circumstances. Can you imagine being happily rich or happily poor? Which is easier for you? When I was in high school, I hopped a freight from Albuquerque to Winslow, Arizona, to see some friends. And on the freight train, I met a lot of hobos. They're a happy bunch, actually. They only had two things that they worried about. One was where they were going to sleep that night, and the other what they were going to eat. They had no bills. They had no responsibilities. They were bums. Some of them were happy. What are you? What is your life doing for you? Why are you creating the life you're creating? Why are you justifying why you're doing what you're doing? And I'm here this evening and for this weekend, we want to free ourselves. I like to meditate to music because music, especially music that doesn't have words, is rhythm and it is energy. And if you listen to music and you're meditating, it doesn't have words, it's easy to let the meditation just take you. So let's meditate to a nice piece of music here. Just listen to it, but feel the energy in this music. Watch me play with it. They're closed. Settle down. Relax. Get in your body a bit. Any questions or any concerns? Complaints? Anyone? Wow, I must be a masterful teacher. No questions. How they might come up. We'll be having an intensive this weekend. Be a lot of meditation. Change your life. Or your mind. How's that? Jargon. But I can guarantee it's going to be life transforming. Powerful. I wish you could see yourself. My gosh, you're creating universes. Whole universes. Wow. Okay. I'd like for you to just watch me for a second. Of course, I've done this before, so we'll try it. Did you see what I did, Yona? Yona? What did you see? What did you, no? Yeah. What's the room look like now? Yeah, of course, it's gold. This is heaven. You think heaven made of physical gold. So horrible. Pick up a fork and it weighed 10 pounds. So this is heavy. Walker, can you even imagine what it's like to be well? Let's see if we can awaken that one in you. Stubbornly held on to your sickness. Not for long. Freeze. You don't have to leave the body to do that. Although we all do at some point. So anyway, we've been here for an hour. And before I go, is there any questions or anything that you would like to ask me? Opening the floor to anything. Yes. Well, before I get a glib answer, let me look at this a little bit here. Because your question is really quite profound. In the beginning of spiritual self-discovery, we want to focus on the things that are just and happy in our life. And people, we want to surround ourselves with people who accept us and we realize that everybody has flaws. We just understand they have flaws and we have our own flaws, but we get along, right? And then you become very sensitive as you start to meditate more because, as I said, this is your psychic center. So as you start opening your heart, become more psychic and become more aware of this energy that's always clashing, aggressive, angry, hateful energy, people who want to control you all the time, people that want to destroy you, put you down, embarrass you, humiliate you. You know, the list goes on and on. There's all these people all around us that are wallowing in willful ignorance. They want to be ignorant. That way they can be as harsh and as mean as they can. So we start to avoid people like that at the beginning. Where you're getting out of the blizzard and you're getting into a little shack and you start plugging up holes that the wind is coming through. A little fire going so you get some heat going. So in the beginning, you're keeping everything out. You're keeping the harshness of life away from you. This is why people go to monasteries or ashrams or whatever. We want to be around people that jive with us, you know, that we enjoy seeing. We're happy to see them. And we don't want hateful, angry, vindictive people around us, judgmental people. We kind of keep them away. And that's the first part of self-discovery. And it's a necessary part because you're just healing yourself and you don't want to keep getting injured. So you push people away, But what's really going on in that pushing people away is that you're indulging in duality. I'm here, they're there, they can hurt me or whatever. I've got to keep them away. You've got this warfare going on inside of yourself. And that warfare inside of yourself creates another prison for you because now You can't be around people that aren't happy, you know? So then you go into the next phase, and that's called the phase of Tantra, the phase of reconciliation of opposites. There's a movie I call, what is it, Life of Pi? I think it's the story of Pi, where this guy is actually in a life raft with a Bengal tiger. And that's your life. You're in a life raft with a Bengal tiger that will eat you if it can. And in that movie, he learned to coexist with that tiger. It took him a while. He learned to coexist with the Bengal tiger. So in Tantra, we're about reconciliation of opposites. So in the beginning, we push people away. We want to keep ourselves in a nice, happy little space, keep negative people away because they influence us and they tear us apart and hurt us. But as you build the fire within yourself and you build your own strength, then you can go out into the blizzard to get more wood or whatever, bring it back in. When you're at this stage of development, you start to reconcile opposites. And that's a really tough thing to do. It's humanly impossible, but it's spiritually imperative that you see oneness in everything, that you see God in everything, even in the nastiness. Christ walked around and he preached the gospel. The gospel wasn't that he was going to die for our sins. That wasn't the gospel. His gospel was how to treat other people, how to care for the poor, how to help the hungry, the sick, how to reconcile your enemies, to pray for your enemies, to reconcile that, not pray for them to die, but pray for them to awaken. The gospel is that as you start doing the good things, which are encapsulated in all of the Buddhist teachings of right thinking, right action, right speech, you're doing the things that create goodness in your life, you end up creating goodness in everyone around you, even those people who are horrible. I meet people every day at the store or wherever. I always try to make them smile. I don't talk about things that are divisive. Why would I want to poke that Bengal tiger? The results would be predictable. But if I'm aware of that Bengal tiger and what it needs, then I can coexist with it. Christ said to agree with your enemy when you're in its midst. That doesn't mean that you just find common ground. Just find the common ground and build on that. There's enough that divides us. There's enough that separates us. We don't need to focus on that. But it's hard, especially if you've been raised by parents who were not good stewards of proper etiquette when it comes to behavior and attitudes. Some people have had some very terrible parents. Some people have been terribly abused as children or as adults. We have to heal ourselves. And when you really get that, you see that when you pray and you heal that part of you, about those people who literally tried to destroy you in every way they could, that when you actually can heal that part of yourself, your world becomes so much lighter because you're not carrying that hatred or that anger inside of you anymore. You've let it go. And when they bring it up, you just have to keep reminding yourself that everyone will become enlightened. Absolutely everyone. Everything will become enlightened. As the illusion of this world is brought back into the void, enlightenment takes place. And you can play around in this world and play around in these energies and play around in this drama for 10,000 lifetimes. You can be the man sitting outside in a shack outside of his mansion, living in a world of abject poverty with millions of dollars. Maybe it's time for you to own your higher self, to move into the mansion of the beauty and the joy of your life that is not dependent upon money or people or circumstances or anything. It's dependent upon your state of mind. And you have to control that state of mind. And when you find your state of mind going down into these lower occult, terrible mindsets, you stop yourself. You literally stop yourself and you turn and face another direction. And the more you do that, the happier you'll be. Because happiness is not dependent upon anything but a state of mind. Two people can be doing the exact same thing, and one can be having a wonderful experience, and the other one can be having a terrible experience. I particularly like to wash dishes. And I talk about this a lot. I like washing dishes. You got that dirty plate that's just full of ketchup and stuff. You put it under the water with a little soap, and magically, right there in front of your eyes, it turns into a brand new plate, like right off the shelf. Put it over and let it dry. You pick up the next one. It's so satisfying. Other people do dishes and hate every aspect of it. Ooh, I gotta clean up other people's crap. Ooh, this is terrible. Oh, I've got my hands dirty. I could use other examples, but then we start getting into sex and stuff like that, so I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, it's a state of mind. We're waking up from this egoic self that's in the bottom. Who, what, when, where, how, when, what if, whatever. And we're transcending it into the eternal part of our being. And as we transcend it into the higher part, and we bring that higher part consciously down into our life, piece by piece, we transform ourselves. One thing at a time, one fear that we've overcome, one anger that we've corralled, one bit of resentment that we've let go of. That's less you have to carry around in your heart. You don't have to carry that backpack full of angry, horrible memories. Just dump it. That's the gospel. Good deeds provide good karma. Bad deeds provide bad karma. What do you want? And the gospel is you can take charge of your life and create a beautiful life for yourself just with a state of mind.